And in the view of the dissenting persons on this table, let's just establish the fact that, as you've referenced continuously, we are not a bench.
Yes.
Obviously.
Thank you.
But
Yes.
then again, there is the room for the
discuss.
expression of opinions on this. Or is there any uncertainty about the position of the law on this matter of when a Chief Justice is removed? Can she still serve as a Justice of the Superior Court?
There is no ambiguity at all. There is no doubt, all right, from all the cases so far, especially starting from Ejechu, where that matter was very much at play, that when a person is removed as a Chief Justice, that person loses the office of a Supreme Court judge as well. There's no doubt at all. Listen, let's go over this. Asante Ejechu and his father went to court, okay? They represented Ejechu. Let's go over the argument. Eduji read it, but let's read it again. Of course, when I was coming this morning, I wanted to read it because some lawyers are saying it's obita. When we say obita, so they are trying to say that it didn't concern those statements that the Supreme Court made. Were not necessary for resolving the case that Ejechu brought. So, I mean that it was irrelevant. It's just that they were talking. I mean, just expounding law, but it's not relevant. Listen, they made their argument. They say the Constitution does not provide any separate and distinct grounds other than those set out in Article 1461 for removing the Chief Justice, qua Chief Justice, that's as Chief Justice from office. Thus, under the Constitution, a Chief Justice cannot be removed as a Chief Justice from office and remain on the bench as a Justice of the Superior Court. He can rather be removed from office on the same grounds as a Justice of the Superior Court and by implication lose his position as a Chief Justice. You see, they said, and by implication, lose his position as a Chief Justice. And that's why Modibo Okran said, yes, what you are saying is right. And now you turn back and say, no, nobody asked the Supreme Court to make such determination. If you didn't put the argument there, would they be answering you? That was the argument that was made. Eduji read it. We are reading for emphasis. You sent the argument there. Did anybody put a gun to Ejechum's head and his lawyers to make that argument? They thought it was relevant for the case, and so they made it. No, and then you come to what Dateban, so we read Modibo Okran. Dateban is the one who gave the lead opinion. So let's see what he says at that side. Let's come here. So Dateban says at page 775, page 775, let's go to the last paragraph. He says, as far as the Chief Justice is concerned, I think it is reasonable to link his conduct of his administrative responsibilities with his position as a justice of all the superior courts. So you see, that the bar says they are linked. Justices of the superior court are required to adhere by, maybe now we'll say to, certain judicial ethics, which can be infringed by the conduct of a Chief Justice. You see? So he said justices of the superior courts are required to adhere to certain judicial ethics, right? Which can be infringed by the conduct of a Chief Justice in the performance of his administrative acts. You see it? So that's it. So you are acting as Chief Justice, but certain conducts also affect your, what do you call it, conduct as a judge. And what do we say here? Here we've lost 367,000 Ghana cedis because Chief Justice signed for that money to be given to her husband and to be given to her daughter, the per diems and the tickets, all that. So we're saying it's illegal. In actual fact, what the committee is saying is that there was no right whatsoever to take that money for the Chief Justice's family. This is very grievous. Look, we are even being very charitable. That's why I keep saying the more you push this point, then the more you would cause people to go and file criminal charges. Somebody will go and file. Yes.
How you talk about criminal?
Yes, criminal charges. Because the Chief Justice herself, the Chief Justice herself in the abroad near DC case, the presidential spouses, she said no. Article 71 is very clear. Wives of presidents and vice presidents cannot take money from our public purse. Not knowing at the time she had already taken some for her family. How? You are sitting in judgment over other people that no, Article 71 doesn't allow that money be paid to spouses of president, vice president. Meanwhile, but then you are taking money for your spouse and children, a child. I mean, it's ridiculous. So they say, let's not push it. The more you push it, the more ridiculous. And look, I have people sending me messages that viewers are very angry that, look, we are pushing this argument too far. We are pushing it too far. How can you say that a ban is showing you that in your conduct as Chief Justice, there are certain things you do which also affects your ethics as a Supreme Court judge? So you see how it's linked. It's a consolidated process. So if you come to the facts of this case, we have lost what? 367,000. Who asked that the money be paid for the ticket and for the spouse and for the daughter? This is not child's play. And let's nail the final fact. Look, millions of our citizens don't earn even 100,000 the whole year. And you have one family just blowing this in 2 weeks or less, and you think this is a child's play. Where? No, let me land. Where? So show me. Is that so? The constitutional matter is that. Can you show me there? Is it in the Wando report, or is it in the Rama Ade report or Green State report, which says that when the Chief Justice is traveling, they should pay spouses per diem, pay children per diem? That's a very grave constitutional matter that people want to play politics is. Where in the various reports from Green Street on Ramadi, Buando, etc. Which of the reports say that you can pay the spouse of the Chief Justice any per diem or pay the child of the Chief Justice any per diem? When in actual fact, the Chief Justice herself in the Abronye and then Dafia Mepo, those cases, had said that you can't do such a thing. So let's stop playing with this and then making very arid arguments that go and start afresh to remove her as a Supreme Court judge. When the Supreme Court itself is saying that the two are interlinked, it's a consolidated process. It's farcical, very, very farcical to say that we should go and start from scratch and remove her separate. That a bar says your ethics, things you do as a Chief Justice, also affect you as a Supreme Court judge. So it's one combined process. You are removed as a Chief Justice. You are also removed, ipso facto, as a Supreme Court judge. Let's not toy, because, like, as I say, viewers, the lay people are not having it easy. That some of these things, yes, I know there's devil's advocate, but please, when the law is clear, let's not do these arid arguments.